Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you are in. And welcome to Duzie Live. You like this typewriter song?
I love this typewriter song.
It's so good. Well,
the only thing I just thought about is that now YouTube won't play it because I just put in a song that's not copywritten by me. So I just thought about it. I'll put another one. Hold on.
Okay, this is one written by you.
Yeah, this one I put together.
This one. Okay. So thank you for those who have joined us here live and for those who are watching us on replay. Here's the thing, we all want and need to belong, but how do you bloom into your belonging? This week will enable you to bloom in 3 ways. The truth is that during this global virus, we all have lost a bit or a lot of community.
A lot of community.
This week, we want to help you grow it back internationally.
So let's see who's going to be the first person that comes on. We know there's a lot of people in the house already.
Yeah.
Put in where you're coming from right now. Little music. Not a poll yet, but there will be 2 polls today.
Okay, it's Dale Potter in from Flint, Michigan, and coming in a close second is Jessica Brown. Madam Brown is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. So is Dale Potter. Thank you for coming. God bless you. We are in the middle of something called MTO camp. It is
Yoaz, welcome.
Yoaz is in from the Netherlands.
Hey, Christian.
Christian from Bremen, Germany. We're in the middle of an MTO camp. This is a camp that we do every year in the Netherlands or Belgium, usually. The last 32 years we've been in Europe, and this is the first time in 32 years we have not been there. So we're running it online.
We have changed our clock. So we are literally living on European time.
It's currently 8 p.m.
8 p.m. for us right now. And even though we're living at home, we've changed it. So it'll be the same as our friends there in Europe. And in the morning, it's really strange for my dog. He goes outside and he stops and like, shouldn't the sun be out? And we've had little talks about this, little counseling sessions. So he started getting used to it.
It's very interesting that we're waking up at 3 a.m. local time in order to be on by 5 a.m. local time in our first main meeting. And when the first main meeting is over, it is still completely pitch dark out. And when we're in our small net groups, the sun begins to rise.
So what you're actually seeing here, we're broadcasting not from our normal place, but this is where we're running everything for MTO because we need a lot more space. I mean, let me show you one of the things.
So we're showing different things here. We need more room to breathe. It's still our living room. So welcome here. This is
Pete in a straight jacket. Today I did a straight jacket. Now Pete's wearing it. So we have a lot of on and off on the stage.
A lot of on and off, a lot of different items that come in and off, and we can go up or back. Yet today we did a straight jacket here in this space. So we're having a lot of fun here.
Yesterday Pete lost his leg.
And so Dan used it to tell about how many bones have you broken? I can't keep count. 22 bones he has broken so far in his life. Hopefully that's enough. His mother, Cheryl Potter, is in the house, and she probably knows all of them except for one.
Some of the more recent ones.
I was there for one of them. Tammy Sanford is in from Brown City Camp. Welcome in.
That's the camp where we met. Tammy, did you go and sit on our bench? We have a bench there dedicated to where we met. So Tammy, if you haven't sat on our bench yet, please go sit there.
Let us know in the chat if you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Your life is a remarkable story, an adventure that only you can create.
We exist to motivate and equip you to live fully alive.
Today in this Duzie Live episode, we're talking about tribe, how to bloom where you belong. So we're going to be talking about your people. It's all about living fully alive, and who are the people that help you live fully alive, and who do you help live fully alive? Tribe.
So we're going to be looking at some of the things we've talked about in the past, like the net being what you need in your life, but we're going to look at specific at what are the personalities or what are the people types that you need to have in your life, maybe not all at once, but at different phases of your life to help you move forward.
Yeah, so as always, Duzie Live is a space for us to be presenting here. And then over in the chat, we would love for you to interact with things that we say. Ask questions, give comments, tell your stories, interact with each other, and also interact with us. And from time to time, we'll jump into the chat and respond to what's going on there. And it's a very interactive experience, and we're so happy that you have joined the conversation.
So let's begin. Where do you belong? I mean, where would you say you belong? What group do you belong to? Where is it that you walk into that place and you feel home? We want to look at that, but also who is it in your life that speaks into your life? I know there's been several times for me in my life that it's been pretty solo, except for Susie speaking in. When we traveled, it was a lot that way. Today is a little different. We have more people speaking into our life, and I find that I'm more healthy because there are more voices. I'm blooming, and that's what we're looking at today. How do we bloom in our belonging?
So to start off with, we called it Tribe, Bloom Where You Belong. Tell us about Tribe.
Well, both Susie and I are part Native American. I remember my mom always telling me stories about the Sioux Nation and back to Sitting Bull. And I love the stories. My mom on one of her shelves have all these stories written by Charles Eastman. And I felt belonging as a kid, especially because I was part not only of the Sioux Nation of Native Americans, but of the Lakota tribe, which lived not too far from Yellowstone. To me, it was belonging because that was my tribe. I think as the world has changed, people moved here and there, and they're from the country, but they moved to the city for a job, and we start getting this whole idea of, do I really belong anywhere? And we're saying you do, but not necessarily to a place, but to a people.
Right. Earlier this morning in Duzie Live, Direne was here from the Philippines, and she talked about the three main nationalities that comprise the Filipino people and how that is, they have a lot of tribal belonging because they are Filipinos. And then we had a British girl in, and she was saying how it used to be the Brits, but then many people migrated in and they conquered others. And so just like Dan was saying, we had some real examples. What about you? What about you guys here who are in the chat? Any of you have some tribal or genetic tribal belonging that you want to tell us about? And Jessica Brown says, by the way, I like your new glasses, Dan.
Hey, you like these? I know.
Shout out to Dan's new glasses here.
And my mom.
What do you think? Do they look similar together?
Here's the story. When the coronavirus first hit, I was wearing a pair of glasses, and 1 week into it, this bow, is that called bow? Bow, whatever,
it's bow,
fell off. I couldn't believe it. So I glued it back on, but it wasn't working very well. So I went to an older pair of glasses, and I wore that for a week. And this one fell off. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. I'm not going to get my eyes checked. So for the next 3 months, I kept gluing and taping and rubber banding. And so when we got to Michigan a few weeks ago, I said, I got to go see the eye doctor. So I went and saw the eye doctor, got my glasses. Actually, I had an old pair that I really liked. So I got 2 pair of glasses. So in case there's ever another one of these international catastrophes, I'll be prepared.
And
so my mother just sent them to
you.
me, and I just got them yesterday.
Thank you, Mom. Very kind
But the
of you.
prescription's a little different. So you'll see me today when I'm reading the comments, the nose will go up a little bit more than in the past because I'm seeing not so well out of this, but well out of this.
All right.
That's probably more information than you wanted to know, right, Jessa?
Thanks for mentioning it. Okay, we want to start today when we're talking about blooming where you belong in our tribe. We want to start by talking about our net. It's something that we've talked about quite a bit, so we'll have a little bit of a review, and then we want to spend the majority of the time working through a tool from a book by Leonard Sweet called 11, and it's 11 indispensable relationships that we can't live without. And so we don't have any pictures for the net here, but we'll just talk it through, shall we?
Yeah.
So net is what?
So we don't have the PowerPoint up. Okay, so the net is simply this. If you picture a tree, you have the tree and you have the branches of the tree. And in one of the branches, there is
Oh, sorry, we do.
You got it?
Yeah.
There is a nest. And in the nest, there is an eagle. What we look at that and we say, in each person's life, the tree is the community or multiple communities that you belong to. And the nest is that close group of individuals where you can be vulnerable. You can be really open, and they support you and you support them. Then the eagle is like the mentor, the coach that teaches you how to feed yourself and how to fly.
Yep. So here's a question for you. We'd love for you to answer it right there in the chat if you don't mind. Who are the people who support your Zoe Fully Alive life? Now we're growing this Fully Alive revolution. We're going to start the Fully Alive membership in September. But who are the people? And the goal there is to have people that support that. But the question is, who are the people currently that support your Zoe Fully Alive life? Can you describe Zoe once again?
Well, Zoe is simply this. It's the word Jesus used most often to describe life. It meant quality. It meant vitality, vibrancy, a life that was to be fully alive here and now forward. That's really the context. When Jesus says something like, I have come that you may have life, wasn't at all talking about life someplace else. When you die, you'll have life again. It's not that word. It's the word that I have came that you may have this incredible quality, vibrancy in your life.
And have it to the full. And so we're going to look at the people who support you to live your fully alive Zoe life. Now I'm jumping over to the chat here. And Dale says, I've always been more of a solo person, really as long as I can remember. I sometimes will float in and out, but I never really belong here.
But I have to just disagree a little bit, Dale, because you just sent me that great article about the song from Chicago. And sometimes those people that speak into our life may not be people, but they may be songs. They may be movies. They may be books you've read. And I know that you are a music lover and there's a lot of input there. So it may not be directly people for any of us, but there are characteristics that feed our soul. And I think all of us have that. Even I'm a little bit more solo as well.
What say you to that, Dale? We'd love to hear. So Psalm 101 verse 6 says, I will search for faithful people to be my companions. I love the concept here because many times they don't just come to us. We have to invest in them or invite them to invest into us. Us into them or them into us. And I love how this verse says, I will search for faithful people to be my companions. So whatever season you're in, if you have people that are currently good companions, keep them. If you do not, then this verse is potentially for you. I will search for. I also love the verse from 1 Corinthians 15:33 that says, bad company corrupts good character. And in the flip way, good company really grows good character. And I love the idea here with the companions as well.
So just to go back through this, N in net means the nest. That's probably the center. That may even be as tight as just your family. I don't know, but I think we all need that one little space where we belong, where we can be ourselves, where we can influence and be influenced. But we need an eagle. And that may be a person. It may be a pastor. It may be a professor at the university. It may be a book. Several of my eagles have been authors that I have never met. But then there's the tree. And I was just thinking as we were talking, I probably have 5 trees in my life. I have my Marlette community where we used to live. That's a very strong community for me. I have my OM community where I work, where I've worked for years all over the world. I have a community at my local church that we're just getting to know. And because of Corona, we've had to divide, but now we're getting back together. I have this MTO community that we work together and all through the year there's connection. And then I have my family community. So I would say that I have 5 trees in my life.
I think another tree that we have is the Logos Hope tree. People that we've done life with the last 2 years and more. And we also love them too.
Especially
Michaela,
if they're
welcome
from Jamaica.
in.
Especially if they're from Jamaica.
Yeah, Jamaica. Yeah, Madam Brown, you're in, girl. So here's the net. And we just want to ask you a question. We want to take a poll right now as it applies to this right here. Let me publish it first. Of the 3 net relationships that we just described, nest, eagle, tree, how many of these do you presently have?
So if you have all 3 of them, put 3. If you have probably 2 of the 3.
If you have a nest in a tree,
Put
or an
2.
eagle in a tree,
one.
a nest in an eagle.
If you don't have any of them, just don't vote.
Yeah, so it's completely anonymous. We can't see who's saying what, so you can be free to vote.
Right now, we have 50% that are saying 3 and 50% that are saying 2.
Very interesting. And
between 2 and
0% says 1. So at least it looks like, and 3 went up to 66%.
Oh, yeah. Now, there's quite a few of you on, I can see, so make sure you vote. Please do vote.
And now 3 is up to 75.
It just jumped twice.
Okay. Now we've completely changed.
One person said, or 16% have said 1. 33% have said 2, and 50% has said 3.
All right.
So now it's a stair step.
We'll wait it. We'll wait it just a second and see if there's any changes, because some people need to think about these things. So very interesting. This morning in our Duzie Live.
Oh, just changed again.
Oh, yep.
42% is saying 3. 42% are saying 2. And 14% are saying 1.
Very
I had to read that out of the bottom of my glasses.
Very interesting. This morning, 100% of our participants said they had 3. I'm very surprised at that answer, because that's not what we usually hear from people. Thank you so much for voting, and thank you so much.
But I think
very much for sharing.
It changes through our life. I would say right now in my life, I probably have 2. I don't think I have a really good nest at the moment. I've got some eagles and I've got community, but I'm looking for that nest a little bit more.
Yeah.
Let's see if it comes.
Dale says there are many, that is true. Many things feed my soul. There are many inspirations that come from practicing awareness, and through awareness and mindfulness of the arts, as well as explorations of everyday moments of inspiration that are like input into you. Thank you so much, Dale, for that. I wanted you to give some feedback. I knew you'd have some.
Welcome, Michaela, as well.
And there you did. You just definitely had it. And we just want to spend the bulk of our time now going through something that was very inspirational to us. And it's called the 11 indispensable relationships you can't be without.
Now, when Susie first brought this book home, I was like, 11? Really, 11? Because she's an extrovert. I'm more of an introvert.
He was like 11.
A couple of good friends. So some of these relationships that I have found, one person may have more than one of them, and they're speaking into my life. Or I may have more than one of them speaking into someone else's. But I love the way that Leonard Sweet sort of breaks it apart of these are the kind of people you need. So we were thinking about an eagle, a nest, and a tree, which is great. But now we're getting very
more
specific. What kind of people? You just don't need people in your life. If you're going to bloom, you need to have specific people, because there are also people that you might belong to that may actually be not helping you bloom, let's say.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure you have the people that are going to help you bloom and grow.
Okay. And so I just wonder if you have read this book or heard of it, or you know something about Leonard Sweet, just write yes. If you've actually read the book, I would love for you to put in the chat, just write the word 11. Leonard Sweet is a great writer, and he has written, I don't know, I think I saw more than 10. And like Dan, when he first heard of this book, he was like 11. But for me, this gave me the possibility to think that maybe I don't have to have everything relationally in a mentor or a leader, or even in Dan, my man, my soulmate. I don't have to have all of the relationships all in one. That the combination of these 11 can be found in multiple people. I think as you see this, you could have these relationships for yourself, but it might also be a challenge for you to be in relationship with people in these ways. Okay, so Michaela says no, but it sounds interesting. So it's an older book, but it has very valuable information. Let's get started with it. The first indispensable relationship, and all of these relationships are found and described as characters in the Bible. So we're just going to have a look at that. The first indispensable relationship that you can't be without, according to Leonard Sweet, and we love the description of these, is Nathan, the editor. Now, Nathan was in the time of King David, back in the Old Testament of the Bible. And Nathan was a guy who helped bring out the best in David. And many times Nathan was the one who came and called out things that were not proper or not okay in King David. And he was the editor. So he was able to help make those changes into the life of King David.
So in your life, you may need one of those people, a person that, well, it's like what Susie does for me. I write, and I think it's really good.
And it is.
She goes through and words go out and new words come in and lines get scratched out. And it's like, no, but then it becomes so good because you have an editor. I think we need that in our life. We need the Nathans who will look at our life and help us edit it to make it better.
So what we want to do here is Nathan, this relationship that you can't be without. What we'd love for you to do in the chat is to say if you have a Nathan, or maybe if you are a Nathan.
Or if you had.
If you had or have. So we'd love you to respond to this. Is this a type of relationship that you currently have? And if you want to elaborate about that, we'd love to hear that too. Jessica said, the women in my Bible study are definitely eagles in my life who sent me to the Logos. And since then, I've found so many people, Duzie included, who allow me to be fully alive. Thank you, Jessica. That is super cool. And I didn't realize that your Bible study ladies sent you to the ship. That's awesome. Cool. Okay, so write in the chat, Nathan, how does that hit you? Have you had it? What do you think about editors?
And while you're doing that, we'll go to the second one.
All right.
The second one is Jonathan. Now, you know the relationship between Jonathan and David. The interesting part of it was Jonathan was to be the next king.
Biologically, it was his.
He was the son of the king. He should have been king. But he became this friend with David, and he realized that he was biologically to be the king, but David was anointed to be king. And he became his true friend. And I wonder what it would have been like if Jonathan would not have been killed in battle. What if David would have taken the throne and Jonathan would have been there? What would that story have been like? I don't know. But we need to have those people in our life that they're the true friend. They're the ones who stick close to us no matter what we go through.
Yeah, so Jonathan is also described as your second self, or somebody who knows you so well that they're journeying with you and they're going with you as well in that space as well. So Nathan, Jonathan, love for you to put in the chat. Do you have a Jonathan? Do you have a Nathan? How is that hitting you? Do you have one? Do you need one? Do you wish you had one? Jonathan. And meanwhile, we'll just continue on. Our third indispensable relationship you can't be without is Jethro, the butt kicker. Now, this is a very interesting one because Jethro was the father-in-law of Moses. And if you know the story of Moses, Moses was the guy who was born an Israelite. He went into a Hebrew. Was it Hebrew family?
He was a Hebrew.
He was a Hebrew. Sorry, he was a Hebrew. He went to be in the palace.
Wait.
Help me out with the story.
Take two.
Wait.
This week we're talking about Rahab, and we're talking about all these different
Which story
characters.
am I telling this one?
I'll bring up today.
Help me, Dan.
Moses, bulrushes.
Yes, that part I got.
Prince of Egypt, shepherd.
Egypt. There we go.
Prince of Egypt, shepherd, marries, has a father-in-law. His name is Jethro.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm keeping you forever. So Jethro is the father-in-law of Moses. So after Moses encountered God in the burning bush, and God called him, and he said, "Who am I that I should do it?" And God gave him the message to do all of these things. And then he was doing so many things that his father-in-law Jethro said, "Moses, you're doing too many things. Time for you to give some of those away and disperse those." And so Jethro was a butt kicker in a good way. He got him on the road to the right place to allow him to be fully alive, to do the things that were for him to do, and giving others the opportunity to do the other things.
Yeah. I think we have to have those people in our life, because otherwise we're either going to do nothing, and you may need the butt kicker to do something, or you're going to do too much and kill yourself. And you need to have someone to say, just stop. So there's a road of peace, but many times you need to have a voice to bring you into that space.
Yeah, so tell us, are you a Jethro? Do you need a Jethro? Meanwhile, I'm going to jump into the chat here. Dale says, "I believe Jonathan had to be removed or the kingdom would have been divided."
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Jacob Faulkner, hello. Just got back from getting your driver's license. Yes, congratulations. We're missing you, Jacob, at MTO. He does have a Nathan. My parents were my Nathan as well. That's very cool. Most of the time, and sometimes not. And Jessica said, "I think I am a Nathan right now, and I definitely have one." Go girl. Michaela says, "Yes, I do love them. Not so much when they point out weaknesses, haha, but highly appreciate them. And yes to Jonathan, thankfully." Cool. Tiffany, welcome in. Grateful to have a Jonathan. Jessica said, "Dan just Jethro'd Susie." Gently. I'm glad his butt kicking shoe was not too pointy.
I have socks on.
That's great. Michaela. Love that you called that out, Jessa. So good. And then Jacob, "I've kind of been missing a Jonathan in my life ever since I moved." Yeah. So probably you would say you need a Jonathan.
And I think, I don't know.
So good.
I don't know if you need a Jethro all the time. You might. But I remember certain times in my life where I needed someone just to come along and sort of kick my butt.
And call you.
I remember when one of the first colleges I went to, university, I came home after that and I was wrapped up in real strange conservatism that was, I just wanted to burn anything, and my brother, Dale, who's here, he became my throat. He listened and he kicked my butt and he helped me.
But first you donated records that got burned.
That's another story. But he got me to the place where I could open my eye and see a much bigger picture. And I think God brings those people into our life at the right time that our world gets bigger and we can understand more, because sometimes we get so focused and it's that opens that up.
Yep, that's right. Let's go on to the next one. So our next of the indispensable relationships you can't be without is Timothy.
Timothy is the protege. Timothy went along with them on the journeys. And I think we need that. We need to take people along with us on the journey. If it's just us, I'm not too interested at this point of replacing me. I don't think that's what it is. I'm not even sure if I want to duplicate me. But I want to see people with potential and help them reach that potential. I've heard so many people say, you need to multiply yourself. No. There's only one Dan Potter. There will only ever be one Dan Potter, but then there's you.
As awesome as you are.
And I want to take that person onward. So you take that person on and they listen and they learn, and many times they go farther than you go. So I've had several of those in my life, and I look around and they're all over the place, and it's so excited. I think I've always had at least one Timothy just to fly. And sometimes they crash and then fly again.
Yeah, that's great. So this Timothy is listen, a learner, an heir, someone who's able to just go on. I think in this season of our life right now, we've been blessed to just have so many Timothys that we've been able to grow and challenge and encourage. We actually are very fully alive in that space. What about you? Do you have a Timothy? Are you a Timothy for someone? Do you need a Timothy? Jessica says, Jonathan's are real gifts. I had a Jethro. They're definitely seasonal. And Dale wants to know, does a Jethro challenge you and ask hard questions? If so, that is needed most of the time. They are that outside the box kind of people. Yeah.
Very important.
And Rahel, welcome in. Glad to have you. Jethros are constantly appearing in my life. Oh, wow. That's hard. Constantly appearing. Michaela says, I currently don't have a Timothy. I think probably because I feel like a Timothy right now. And that's true. There are seasons for that. Dale says, Timothy's often teach us about yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
And Jacob said, I definitely feel like a Timothy in this season of my life. Yeah. Rahel, it's okay. We'll take you whenever you get here, and you're here. So thanks for coming in. That's great.
You don't even have to stay after class. It's okay.
Okay. The next indispensable relationship so far, we have Nathan, Jonathan, Jethro, Timothy, is Barnabas. Now, Barnabas is the encourager. He was the encourager to Paul. He was the one who gave true support. I don't know. Studies say that he was probably often with Paul, or when he wasn't with Paul, Paul felt it, because Barnabas is the encourager. And many times people say, oh, you're such a Barnabas. That is a complete compliment, because that is a person who encourages. I love to have Barnabases in my life. One of my love languages is words of affirmation. And so when I have an encourager in my life, and I am blessed to have many, and when they're very verbal with their encouraging, it just really gives me that Zoe fully alive life support that I need. So Barnabas, I also love, because I have words of encouragement, I love to encourage. So I love to give the support, not just with my words, but I mean it. So I don't say anything I don't mean. And so when I say it, I truly mean it. And I love to encourage.
You look very nice today.
Thank you, Barnabas.
Thank you that your glasses match my glasses.
Thank you, Barnabas.
And the earrings are very nice.
Thank you. You bought them for me.
Yes.
In Ecuador.
It's interesting. The Browns just piped in. We got the Brown sisters in the house. Welcome, girls. And I think God does this. I think God puts in your family Jethros who are there to do what Jethros do. And I think many times all these ones we've talked about can come from with our family. It can be the Jethro, it can be the Jonathan, it can be the Barnabas, but we need those. And I think the family is where we see that first, but then we have that wider group. The next ones I want to talk about, the Peter and Paul, they're the wise person. And that may be coming from your family, but it may come from outside. This is one that Susie and I, we've been blessed with the wise person several times. And normally they don't come into our life. We have to go search for them. But we have a lady who helps us so well, and she thinks business. She's an incredible businesswoman. We have another guy, and he knows all about how to start off like ministry type things and how to go in. And so we're always picking these people's brains because we need that. I don't think we've ever been, especially for us right now, going into this whole journey with the Fully Alive Revolution, we have never gone this way before. And it's these wise people.
We have never gone this way before. I just made that song up.
No, you didn't.
I made it up from another song. The words don't go like that. I made up the wordage.
Yeah, the word. New.
Are you butt kicking me? Are you just throwing me again?
Old song, new lyrics. But anyway,
I like to change them up.
We need those wise people in our life because they help navigate the path that we're walking.
Yeah, and currently for the Fully Alive Revolution, we have a group. You want to sing it how it really goes?
No. I sang it at my graduation from high school.
I know. That's why I'm just saying. Come on.
Oh, I don't. I think I sang it off to and then as well. So.
Okay, he's going to Jethro me, but not take it there. Right now for the Fully Alive Revolution, we have a group of 12. We call them tribal leaders, and they are between the age of 20 and 30, and they definitely are in the midst of where their generation is walking, and they are reverse mentoring us. We are so blessed by each individual wise person. So normally we think of a Peter or a Paul wise person as an older person, but in this case, and in many times, I learned so much from the younger people that are Timothy's for me. And I so appreciate it. So it doesn't have to necessarily be an older person, but many times it is. It can be someone who's walked the path. So would love to hear, if you haven't commented on the last few, what about a Timothy, a Barnabas, Peter, Paul? Do you have them? Do you need them? Are you that for someone else? We'd love to hear your response. And thank you for those who are joining the conversation right here in the chat. Dale says, Barnabas is that supportive servant. Yes. And Cheryl says, I think our boys have been many of those for us. Wow, that's cool. And continue to be along with many close friends. So I'm guessing a bunch of the ones we've seen so far. And Rahel says, I also mean what I say, but I'm more like a challenging Peter Paul with showing up the positives and negatives that I can think of. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. You can identify with that. Awesome. Let's go on to the next indispensable relationship. It's Deborah. She is the back coverer. So she was a judge, and she was a person that kept you from stabs in the back. Now in Ephesians chapter 6, it talks about the full armor of God. And I remember when I first was alerted to that, I heard somebody talk about it, that all of the armor is really on the front. So we have our helmet of salvation and breastplate of righteousness and belt and shoes, and we have the sword of the Spirit, and we have the shield of faith. All those things are for the front. Well, why is there nothing on the back? If you don't mind, come be my illustration here. Because when you're doing war, ideally, back in the day, you were back to back with somebody. Oh, you're going to get your warrior hat on? Okay, so you were back to back with somebody, and they were fighting, and you were fighting, and you had each other's back. That's where that comes from. Keeps you from stabs in the back. So who is that person? In many seasons of our life, it's been our leaders, our supervisors, our bosses who have done that. But honestly, we did have some bosses that did not keep us from stabs in the back. And currently we're in a situation, because we're so pioneering what we're doing, we don't have a Deborah. We don't have a back cover. We don't have some of these indispensable relationships, and we're really seeking out and working to find those ones.
We have a very good friend who recently passed away, Peter Maiden, and Peter was definitely always that for us.
Yes.
From really the time we first joined 30 years ago, OM, he had our back.
Yes.
And it's such a difference to know you have someone standing in your corner. We've had people in the past, they had this break hand, they were drawing circles on our back. And it was so hard to live in that reality, because they were not for us. They were probably against us. And to have this Deborah in your life, it's huge. And it's not just when you're going through the tough times. It's in those wonderful moments to know there's somebody there that I think a lot of our life we've had that. Right now we're really seeing who is that. It may be part of this tribal leaders that we have that have our back, but that's a very important thing. Our parents have our back, our kids, siblings, but in working together with a person that has your back, that's very important.
Yeah, you might notice that on the left side, these are all men. It doesn't necessarily mean that these people are gender specific, but these are just characters in the Bible that have been identified that we're just putting out there. So just wonder, any of you, do you have a Deborah in your life? The next one is a Zacchaeus. You want to tell us about the Zacchaeus? This is the one you love to talk about.
Yeah, I just wanted to grab my phone because I have this great cartoon of, man, you got my back, and it's these two stick figures, and the back of one of them, the line for the back, the other guy's just sort of holding. It's like, you got my back.
His back.
Yeah. And anyway, the Zacchaeus.
Here, you can draw it right here if you want to draw.
Oh yeah, I can draw it. Let me just do it.
Yeah. So important, right? Come on.
It is.
Bring it in.
Can you see it? Oh yeah. So you've got the stick figure. Yeah, so it looks like that. Oh, you can't even see it's the light. Zoom in. Yeah, got your back, man. Anyway.
Let's give it up for Dan.
Too much MTL running through my head. But anyway.
Yoas loves to be a Barnabas. You can just encourage Dan right now. That's great.
So the Zacchaeus, I think that's the person that I try to always have in my life is that misfit, that person that somehow doesn't fit. I don't know if it was because I grew up at the ranch, a boys' home my parents ran, but my heart just goes out to those people that maybe have a learning disability, maybe they just don't fit in. So for some reason, they're rejected. Mm-hmm. I love to step into that person's life, and I think there's so much you can learn from them. I think the character qualities in some of those people that have been put down all their life, the resilience is huge. And so I think that in my life, most of my life, I've had that person. I was just thinking, who is that person right now? And there are a couple that I need to get a little bit closer to. But that for me is a very, very important relationship is that, and not that I'm better than them at all. I'm actually doing life with them.
Yeah. And I love the Zacchaeus people that we take in and we see them and we know them, and being in the process of having that relationship, life gets revealed to us in a whole nother way. I remember when our boys were little and we took a trip to Mexico, and we were up with the Nahuatl people, the native Indians in the Mexican mountains near Orizaba. And we were up there, and these kids had made a whole city with sticks and stones. So they weren't really necessarily rejected people, but they were people who did not have as much as our boys did. And they were in the season where Legos and G.I. Joes were everything. So they needed to have all this stuff. And we went and up there, and the boys spent an afternoon playing with these kids who were of a different situation. They were like a Zacchaeus in their life. And that gave them so much more creativity and perspective. And so these relationships are not necessarily so we can help them, but just having them as a relationship in our life makes such a great difference for us. Yoaz says, I love to Barnabas people. Rahel says, you have each other. We have each other's backs. That's right. Jessica says, each other's back coverers. Yes, I love that. In this season, God is my Deborah.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Amen. Amen. That's a good reminder to us too. Yes. Another relationship that's an indispensable relationship we can't be without is a Rhoda. Now, Rhoda is the little girl in the book of Acts of the New Testament when Paul and Silas were in prison, and the whole group of believers were gathered to pray, and they were fervently praying, and there was a knock at the door, and who went to get the door was Rhoda. But she didn't let them in. She went running back to them and said, hey, they're here. Our prayers have been answered. And the people didn't believe them. And so she went and brought them in. Well,
it was
Rhoda.
Actually Peter. Peter was at the door.
Peter. Oh, thank you.
Mm.
You my Jethro again.
No,
Peter was at the door.
I didn't want to lead anyone astray biblically. Paul and Silas came later.
Okay.
Rhoda was a little older then.
Okay. All right. You finish the story. Come on. Tell the story.
No, but it was just
sorry for that biblical illiteracy today when my brain is going crazy. Yeah.
We need the people in our life who just live in the innocence.
The childlike faith.
They're not consumed with what's going on the internet or on the news or anything. They're just simple and they're innocent, and they make you just life. The aroma of life is so much better when they're around.
Yeah. For me, my Rhoda, when I was in high school, we had a Bible study group that came into our home on Thursday nights. And it ended up being not a small group, about 50 people, 50 young people who most of them were unchurched. And I really appreciated and loved their Rhoda-like relationship with me because they had childlike faith. They read something in the Bible for the first time and they did it. or they would ask a very innocent question that me growing up in the church and with the Bible and with God loving and fearing family. I knew that, and I took for granted so many things, but having a Rhoda-like relationship gives you perspective in a whole nother way as well. Rahel says, I also need a Deborah. It feels like God is more like a Jethro to me, but also a Timothy. God can be all of them. Good point, Rahel, that God can definitely be all of them.
And then there's the Lydia and the Lazarus. These two were seen in the Bible as having influence, having some finances. They were like the VIPs. Now, it wasn't mean they were treated better, but they resourced the ministry of Jesus. And to me, we have to have those people in our life that they're not just resourcing our ministry, but they're the people that I believe would be like the gatekeepers. You know, there are a lot of things in life that I would just have this book that I want to publish, but I can't get through to a publisher. And then you meet someone who says, you know what, I had my book published with them. Let me make a call for you. Oh, those are the people.
They're the VIPs
that just show up every once in a while. You may not have them for a long time, but there have been people, a lot of people in our life that for a season, they open a door for us. They introduce us to something. They maybe write a check. I have no idea what it would be, but we need those, what Leonard Sweet talks about is the VIPs, those very influential people that almost give you a next step up that you normally wouldn't be invited to that table. So those kind of people are very important. And normally they don't come looking for you. It's you're out at a party or out at a place and you go up and you strike a conversation or you write to an author and you be in a conversation that way, or you listen to a blog. Somehow you develop a relationship that then enables you. And you don't do it for that reason, but then that comes back to lift you to that next step.
Yeah. So we've talked about Deborah, Zacchaeus, Rhoda, Lydia, and Lazarus. Wonder if any of you in the chat can relate. Do you have them? Are you that for somebody else? Do you need them? How do you relate to those indispensable relationships?
I just want to say one other thing about all these people, because we're going to go on to two items that are just not the normal people. But I think it's very important for us, and I love these comments about God is that for us. And I believe that's totally true. But I'm always reminded in the Garden of Eden, Adam walked with God, and God was not enough. Now, that's a bit of a shocker, but he needed a person. And oftentimes, I have a great relationship with God, but I need a person. And that's what we're looking at here. God can provide a lot of these things, but sometimes he doesn't, because I need a person in my life. And so all these are really people in our life. God, they all have the heart of God speaking into my life, but most of the time God uses people in my life to move me forward, to help me grow.
Okay, so Jessica says, oh, for sure he can. He is our all. Sometimes we forget he is all encompassing. There are some seasons he uses others to be our Jethros, Peters,
right.
Deborah. He even has been the rejected. He is the ultimate relationship we cannot be without. Amen. Rahel says, in my workplace, we call Lydia's mentors, but I don't have one. Okay, that's cool that you have they're called Lydia's. Nice. Jerusalem
they're called mentors.
We call Lydia's mentors. Yeah. Oh, mentors are the people that do that for us. Okay, I understand that now. So Jerusalem is another indispensable relationship you cannot be without. And Jerusalem is a place, but sometimes people can be your Jerusalem or your home. One of the girls that we know, she just got engaged. We saw the post today on Instagram. She got engaged and she called her fiance, the man that's going to be her husband, she called him her home. And I know that that's very possible for people to be your safe place for rest and shelter. But Jerusalem can also be a location. It can be a place that you go, for example, for a retreat. It could be a place in your house, like a certain chair or or your bed, or it could be a certain place that you have rest and shelter and safety. You get rejuvenated there. So that relationship with people or places that give you that downtime and give you that space.
Yeah, I think there's a few of those in my life. I think my parents' house is always that safe place. My house has become that. We have a camp where we met, Brown City Camp. When I drive onto camp, there is this. I would also say my kayak. As strange as that sound, that's your Jerusalem. That's my Jerusalem. It's a safe place. It is home. It is a place of rest and shelter. So I think for different people, there are different things, but we need to have that place that we step aside and find peace.
So Matt Taylor was on this morning. He looked it up and he put right there in the chat, Jerusalem. It actually means, that word means a place of rest and shelter. And I find that very interesting that in Acts it says we're supposed to first of all go to our Jerusalem, then Judea and Samaria, and to the end, to the uttermost parts of the earth. It starts with Jerusalem, the place where you are. So maybe the place where you are, how can you make that a place for rest and shelter when you think about these meanings like that? And then the last, it's not one of the 11, but it's a plus because this is something that we always have and need.
And I think this is what some of you were talking about. It's that presence of the Holy Spirit in our life, the one who's always there to help us, that the part of God that never leaves us. The Spirit of Jesus is there. And I can find these things in the comfort, in the correction that God's Spirit brings to me. But I also see that the Paraclete, which means the one that comes alongside the Holy Spirit, also leads me to the other 11. That at the right time,
it's a piece of it.
A lot of times I'm not even looking for this person and they show up just in time. And I think that's the power of the Holy Spirit in life, that we need to be responsible and look. If I need a Jethro, I need to find one. But oftentimes I find the Holy Spirit finds them for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't invite that into the conversation, but the Holy Spirit knew that I needed it. Also with the Nathans, in David's case with Nathan, he wouldn't have gone looking for Nathan.
No,
but the Spirit of God sent him at the right time to him. And so I think that relationship is very much necessary in connection with all the rest.
Okay, I'm going to jump to the chat. Thank you guys for putting it in there. Jessica says, it might sound weird, but my mom is my Rhoda. My Bible study and Duzie Live are my Jerusalem right now.
Cool.
We love having you here. Virtual hug and kiss.
Welcome home.
Yeah, welcome home. So good to have you every single time. Jacob says, my sketchbook. Jacob is a great artist. We had him on Duzie Live, quite a while ago now. Can be my Jerusalem for me, but sometimes it can be like a Jethro. So sketchbook, like being in art, in that space of your art. Thank you, Jacob, for sharing that. Weird. I didn't notice that you, might sound wired right now. Yeah, but weird right now. Thank you.
You're speaking my language. I'm dyslexic. I didn't even see it.
Oh, Jacob. Yeah, I got you there. Yeah. Art, and Dale referred to that earlier with music, and the arts is a place that really takes him to a space that is like his really safe place. I love that. I'd love, while we have this screen up, we're going to do a poll. This is, I think, the biggest poll that we've ever had before. We got our poll music going here. And here it is. Which indispensable relationship would help you the most right now?
So just like what we would be missing, and we like right now in our life, this would really help us.
Sure. It could be something that you're missing, or it also could be something that you have right now that is one that you definitely need right now. Would it be the Nathan, the editor? Would it be Jonathan, your true friend? Jethro, the butt kicker? Timothy, the protege, the encourager? Peter Paul, the wise person? Deborah, the back cover?
I think that would be mine right now, the Deborah.
Yeah. Zacchaeus, the reject. Rhoda, the little one. Leah and Lazarus, the VIPs. Jerusalem, your home. And of course, the Paraclete is not on this list in particular. So
we got a few coming in here.
What would you say?
We got 50% for the Peter and Paul, the wise person. 50% need the Zacchaeus. Oh, 50-50.
We'll give you a second.
They're switching now. Oh, they're dropping. Zacchaeus is at 25%. Peter and Paul is at 25%.
Okay.
Who got the extra ones?
We have to scroll to be able to see here. Oh,
Jonathan got 25%. Barnabas got 25%. Woo! Oh,
so far. Let's see if I didn't put Barnabas on my list. Okay, Barnabas.
Who'll be the tiebreaker here? They're all at 20.
I'm writing them down.
20.
So yeah, we've got Jonathan at 20%, Jethro at 20%, Barnabas. Oh, it just changed in the midst of it. Okay, let's start at the top. So Jonathan is 28% at the moment. Jethro is 14.
Barnabas is 14. Peter Paul, 14. Zacchaeus, 14. Lydia Lazarus, 14.
Wow. You know what? This morning, Jethro was 50% this morning. Timothy was 16%. Barnabas was 16%. And Rhoda was 16%.
Isn't it interesting that we're all at different places? We all need the different people at different times.
And I love how every Duzie Live we have a completely different group of people. And the mix as well makes such a difference. Yeah, I think it's sticking at that. 28% Jonathan, Jethro, Barnabas, Peter, Paul, Zacchaeus, and Lydia is 14%. So thank you so much for your vote, and thank you for your response as well. Diversity, for sure. Rahel, you said diversity. Rahel says, I don't think I understand the Zacchaeus one. Probably never met one. So this is a person that it probably takes you out of your comfort zone. They're definitely different than you. And as we were talking about, they just enrich life. Christian said, for me, it was a lot, and I have to think about it. What can I say? I need a lot on them, and I want to be some to others. But first, it has to be a relationship for both to benefit.
That's good.
For sure. And thanks for that reminder. I just want to share that PDF with you if that has been helpful for you, and for you, Christian, and others who might need to just download it. You can take a screenshot of what you see right there, or if you'd rather download it and just have those characters, I encourage you, go to the Bible and study them and have a prayer time with them. We have found in so many times that different seasons of our life, we need, or we have, or don't have different types of these relationships. So in the process of needing your net and needing these indispensable relationships, I also want to call your attention to that square on its side, that merging symbol. Do you notice that one? And this is a very important symbol for us all the time. And I think these indispensable relationships show it as well. So the upward arrow represents those in the established generation. So that's the generation that has been. This one is the emerging generation, or the younger generation. And we always love to pour into both, but we love it when the two generations, two ways of thinking, two mentalities come together, and we learn from each other. And I think that's what these indispensable relationships also show as well. The possibility of merging people, bringing out the best, or the fully alive Zoe life in others.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for joining us today. This is actually a bit of a celebration. This is our 30th episode. So the morning one is already loaded on YouTube. This will be on there pretty soon. We're moving towards, in September, launching the Fully Alive Revolution, where we want to develop a community that these things are active in, that people can move ahead within these kind of relationships. Yeah. As well as the
net and the 11.
What's that?
The net and the 11.
Okay. And then what we want to do is move forward to help people live fully alive. And the revolution is not a war type of revolution. It is a turning. And as I look at the world, there is this need for a turning, because you can either look at this time that we live in as things getting worse or worse, or it's time for the kingdom to come. And
Yeah.
I believe it takes
Good.
community. It takes these kind of relationships to move forward. So that's where we're going in September. If you're interested in being part of that first group, we're only going to allow 40 to come through on the very first intake. If you're interested, please send us an email. We have you on a list, because once that 40 list is filled up, we're just going to stop it, because everyone is going to be in a nest. Everyone is going to have an eagle and grow together. So I'm really encouraged looking at this list as we go forward. How do we make sure these kind of relationships are taken care of in the Fully Alive Revolution?
Yeah, that's right. So once again, that file, if you would like to download it, that's for people who are on the replay, and that's for people who have been here to Duzie Live today. Thank you for coming. For those who are watching it on YouTube, that will not be possible for you. You could just snap your screen there and do it. Yeah, we want to invite you to write your takeaway as we're winding down to the hour mark. What is your takeaway from today? Something you learned, something you thought of yourself, you heard, maybe somebody wrote it in the chat here. What is your takeaway that you would like to express right there in the chat space that will help, that we will benefit from as well? So I see some celebrations of the
Episode
30. Whoa, big 30. Thank you so much.
So just to let you know, if
this
you want
has been
to,
interesting.
all 30 episodes are up on YouTube. You can go and watch it. You can subscribe.
Duzie Potter.
Just even in the last couple days, the next couple days, there's a brand new project I'm putting out called Dan's Whiteboard, where I'm taking some of these concepts, putting them in a whiteboard. You can see all of those there. Just subscribe. You'll automatically know when these things are loaded in.
Yeah, we so appreciate you coming. Would love, who's going to put the first takeaway in? We can't wait for it to come through. Meanwhile, we just want to remind you that your life is a remarkable story, an adventure that only you can create.
We exist to motivate and equip you to live fully alive.
Today in this Duzie Live, we've been talking about your tribe. Bloom in your belonging. Who are your people? We talked about the net community. We talked about the 11 indispensable relationships. And hopefully this has allowed you to think about seeking out those people who you yet need, or maybe being these kind of people to others as you are fully alive.
Because the goal is that you would love yourself, love your life, love your world, and love your God. My name is Dan.
And my name is Susie. Together we're a Duzie.
And we want you to be living fully alive.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. Rahel says, I have to think about it to form a takeaway. Completely understandable.
We get that.
We understand it. And maybe that's a bunch of you as well. So we will end this day with spending this time with you. It's been an amazing day for us. We've been up since 3 a.m. local time, and it has been awesome with you.
So it's almost time for bed.
So God bless you and thank you for joining us. Oh, Jessica wants to have a takeaway. Relationships are the beginning of a tribe to help you live fully alive. That's a rhyme. I love that, Jessica. Bravo. And thank you for being here in Jerusalem with us.
Because the goal is that you bloom in your belonging.
I got to write that down.
Bloom
That's so
in your
good.
belonging.
That is so good. I mean,
relationships are the beginnings of a tribe.
That is hashtag far out. Boom. That's going up. Thank you, Jessica. That's a good one. Anybody else? A true poet.
True poet. True poet.
Jacob, did you do a piece of art on this day? We'd love to see it if you do one, maybe later when you're thinking about it.
Oh, what? Before we end, I'll show you my piece of art today.
Oh, Dan did a nice piece of art. Whoa, it is so cool. Relationship. Did you not know that it was poetry, Jessica? That's awesome. Okay, Dan's got a great piece of art here. He's got to find it.
During the worship time here at MTO today, I was just really inspired with the whole thought of the eye is the lamp of the body, and it talks about the eye that is generous is a life that is full of light. So I came up with this. I just saw this multi-dimensional eye full of light, full of life, and the little whatever this is up here, just it's like fluttering in the breeze. There's just like freedom there. So that was my artwork of the day.
So good. Yeah, once again, Dan's so beautiful, Jacob said. That's a compliment coming from you, a true artist. Once again, Jessica, you have the takeaway of the day that really explains it. Relationships are the beginnings of a tribe to help you live fully alive. Awesome. And with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.